Hello, my name is Beth Grabowski and I'm a senior A&Z in biology double major, and this is the impact of training on the human-cat bond. Last year, I had the pleasure of training with two fantastic dogs. Kyle, the brown lab, was a shelter dog in our program last year. First semester, I worked on basic obedience, and second semester, we reached our goal of AKC Intermediate Trick Dog title. MJ was a puppy that I was puppy raising at the same time to be a PTSD service dog. She is now completing her training with her veteran as we speak. However, I am a cat person through and through, so while I was training these dogs, and when I was done training these dogs, I was wondering if I could train cats the same way I was working with Kyle and MJ. Turns out, yes, you can. That summer, I started interning with Space Cat Academy, an online cat training business. And during my time there, I have created two courses, Cat Tricks 101 and Litter Box Logic, as well as writing several articles on cat training and how cat biology affects how they learn. And later that summer, I got Professor, my kitten. I named her Professor as she has much to teach me, and I'm hoping that she will help me teach other people as well, and her sister Kabuki, who has kitten raising for a friend. This is one of my first videos. They just arrived a couple days prior, and we started working with them. Here you can see a clear difference in personality. Kabuki is very willing to jump in and try something new, and Professor is still quite not sure what to make of me and this whole interacting with me business. She's willing to give it a shot, but then she returns to exploring the area around me. And then this next video is a month later, and they've already grown quite a bit, and Professor now has a lot more confidence and is a lot more trusting to interact with me. Here I'm asking them to balance on their back feet. When I returned to school next semester, I started my independent study, feline training and outreach, and during that semester, I co-founded the Carroll College Cat Club. This club currently has 10 members and 7 cats participating in it. But the question I get when talking about cat training is not how do you train your cat, but why do you train your cat? Cats have a reputation for being untrainable due to their independent natures compared to their domestic counterpart, dogs. Or people seem to think that the cat doesn't need training beyond litter box training. And this made me wonder, what is the impact of training on the human-cat bond? Because in my experience, training with Professor has helped her grow from a very shy cat who really was not interested in interacting with me. You can see her on the left, hiding underneath her sister in the trash can, to a cat who's very confident, very willing to try things, even if she watches and thinks a little bit first before she jumps. Before I go further into my research, I'd like to give some background on what training is and what it looks like. So training pattern looks like a cue that a human gives, followed by the cat's response and a reward if they're correct. So they are reacting to something the human does, and the human is using the reward to tell them, yes, that was correct. Yes, you understood me. Here is an example. I offer Professor an open hand for a high five, and she responds by placing her paw on mine, and I give her a reward for doing it correctly. Another thing I should go over is what cat-specific communication looks like. So for cats, they communicate primarily with body language. So 4 main spots to look for would be the ears, the whiskers, the tail, and the posture. So their ears are one of their most expressive traits on their face. So if your cat has their ears back, then they're probably scared or angry. If their ears are facing something that is not the way that they're not at the thing that they're looking at, that means they're not paying attention to what they're looking at, but what is coming in through their ears instead. The tail is a good indicator of mood as well, through the way that it's moving, either irregularly or regularly, or if it is up or down. And the posture, if they're slinking along or upright and confident or arched with their back. Each tells a different way that the cat is communicating. However, language, as with Our language does not happen in a vacuum. It is important to know that it means something different in each context and is also individual specific. Think of it like cats having accents. So maybe your cat holds their ears in a different way when they're angry than a different cat, or maybe they use their tail differently. But it's important to know your cat to know what they're communicating with. Cat vocalizations are also a very interesting topic, as cats who grow up in human households tend to vocalize more than cats who grew up with other cats. So that seems that cats learn to vocalize more with people than they do with other cats. So training at its core is communication. So asking them in a way that they understand to do something, and them responding in a way that you understand. In this way, it becomes a little bit like conversation. Um, it's definitely a positive interaction with both human and cat. It's a way to make your cat think a little bit. Positive interaction for both you and the cat, as well as it's also just fun. So here is my research. So for my study, I asked my five participants to complete a study before and after an 11-week training period. And here are some of the questions I put on the survey. So I listed 36 different behaviors, and I asked them if they saw this behavior before and if they saw this behavior afterwards. I also asked them to tell me a little bit of the context in which they saw that behavior. As I mentioned before, cat body language does not happen in a vacuum. I'm looking for the presence, absence, or disappearance of different behaviors. I also asked them about the human perspective of the cat and their relationship. I asked them if they thought their cat was confident, if their cat was communicating with them, how comfortable they were with their cat, and if they felt their cat was happy. I also kept track of how often they were training per week. And this is a graph showing how much they trained over the course of 11 weeks. There is quite a variety of how much people trained with their cats. And here are the results of the survey. 4 out of 5 participants thought that their cat was communicating with them before the training period, and they all felt that their cat was communicating with them after the training period. This had a p-value of 0.177. They all said that their cat was communicating with them through body language, eye contact, and vocalizations. 4 out of 5 of the participants thought that their cat was confident before training, and they all thought that their cat was confident after training. This had a p-value of 0.181. They all said that they saw confidence in the way that the cat moved, and at the end, someone said that they saw confidence in the way that the cat was willing to show their belly. They all thought that their cat was happy before and after the training period, and before training, they thought they had an average of 7.8 for how comfortable they were with their cat, and afterwards they had a 9.2 level of confidence with their cat on average. This had a p-value of 0.054. You can see on the graph on the right that 2 people were fully comfortable with their cat before and afterwards. However, 3 other participants saw significant increases in how comfortable they were with their cat. I also separated the different behaviors that they saw into 3 different categories. So this is the quantification of comfortable behaviors up in the upper left. And this is how many behaviors indicating the cat was comfortable that they saw. There was an average of 8.2 behaviors before training and 8.4 behaviors afterwards with p-value of 0.435. And the graph on the bottom shows which behaviors they saw, and on the bottom, which behaviors disappeared. This is a quantification of exploratory behaviors, how many behaviors showed that the cat was exploring their environment. There was an average of 3.6 behaviors before training and average of 3 behaviors afterwards for a p-value of 0.251, excuse me. This is the quantification of stress behaviors. There was an average of 2.2 stress behaviors before training and 1.8 stress behaviors afterwards for a p-value of 0.397. You can see in the bottom that the stress behaviors that would be associated with being aggressive, such as hissing, growling, paw swipes, and arching back, also all mostly disappeared where they were present. So there seemed to be a learning curve for identifying cat behaviors. The surveys initially tended to be less details than the post surveys. This can cause inconsistency in the data. So it seems that this could indicate that either the participants were unfamiliar with cat body language prior to training, or that training helped them identify these behaviors more accurately. In either case, it would be beneficial if this study was repeated to include either better research materials, such as videos or pictures of cat behaviors and what to look for, or increased video content and data collection, videos of the cat interacting with human before training and after training, so that an expert in cat body language could be able to identify the different behaviors. It would also be useful to control for the different types of human-cat relationships. If the cat relationship is new, the change in the cat's behavior is going to change differently than if the cat and the human have an already established relationship. There was a variety in my data. And where the cat lives in context of the human. So do they live together, or is the human just visiting? So that would also change how the behavior changes during the 11-week period. As you could probably also saw, my p-values were approaching statistical significance, but they did not quite reach statistical significance. So with a higher number of participants, you can probably identify which values were actually statistically significant or which ones were not. And also ranges for the measurements and P perspectives, such as seeing if there was an increase of how happy they thought their cat was or how confident they thought their cat was before and after training. So the benefits of training seem to be increased behavior awareness in the owner, increased comfort between the cat and the human, a trend towards increased confidence in the cat, and increased relationship with your cat. Applications of training. So as I stated earlier, training with your cat is a way to communicate with them. And being able to communicate with them can ease many day-to-day applications of training. So using training as communication, you can increase the ease of a vet visit while decreasing the stress of the vet visit. If you can ask your cat to get in the carrier and to be calm while you visit the vet, then that makes vet visits much more available to many people whose cats really fight going to the vet. You can use it to disrupt undesirable behaviors or redirect undesirable behaviors, such as your cat clawing on your couch. You can redirect them to a scratcher. It can also increase the confidence in shy cats and direct the energy for overly active or destructive cats. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or if you're interested in training with your cat, feel free to contact me at Grabowski@carroll.edu. Professor also has a Facebook page at Professor the Cat and an Instagram account at The Professor Is In if you're interested in seeing more about her training.